Good morning, Marvel Rival nerds. Welcome to the Marvel Rival stock market. Today we're finding out whose stock we should be buying in Season 4.5. All current stock prices will be provided in the description below. Please feel free to let me know how you feel about the prices of your favorite characters in the comments. Before we get into it, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and provide any feedback that you think will be useful moving forward. Stock prices are based on the pick rates and ban rates gathered from rivalsmeta.com, while incorporating balance adjustments and past history. The goal is to get an adequate field that aligns with the community's perception. Now, without getting too far into the weeds, each character's stock is weighted against their peers in their role, and balance adjustments were incorporated based on both the community reaction and actual impact. Finally, win rates were not taken into account, as this is a casual game at heart, and people will play what they feel like playing 90% of the time. So if I gave you $1,000 to spend, which character stock are you currently buying? Daredevil is the newest hero added to the game, and everyone is super excited to play him. Surely his stock is way too expensive, and you should probably wait for it to cool off before buying it. But who exactly is trending upwards? And who are the penny stock options to look into? Let's start by showing you this jumbled mess. This is every hero stock trend on one graph, and we're going to dissect this into multiple smaller groups to have a better visual of what's going on. Starting with our vanguards, I broke them up into three groups: Brawl, Poke, and Dive. Without hyper-focusing on the separation too much, the Brawl Tanks include Emma, Thing, and Thor. I got this idea from watching a Flat stream, where he says,
I've been playing a lot of Thor today, and the Thor stocks have been on the rise.
And he was spot on when he said it. However, both Thor and Thing are currently on the decline in Season 4.5. Emma, however, has always been an expensive asset since her very release. And even with her constant nerfs, she's been pretty consistent. I'd say it's probably not the best time to buy into Emma, as I see more nerfs coming her way and tanking her value. Onto the Poke Tanks. We have Mag, Strange, Penny, and Groot. Penny's trend is actually very interesting, as all the high level players always say that she's ass, but the community just won't listen, and her stock has stayed steadily over the market average of $15 to $17 ever since she got her team up with Rocket. We could also see that Strange is slowly climbing his way to the top of the meta, and Mag's value, just like his playstyle, is smooth and steady. Lastly, I want to highlight Groot, as he's been trending downwards ever since his dominance in Season 2. But even with his new team up and some nice buffs, his value still hasn't recovered. I think this would be the best time to buy into Groot while the community has forgotten how dangerous he really is. Our final tank group is our Dive Tanks, starting with the Hulk. He's always had a high stock price, and he even holds the record for highest stock price at $88 from Season 0. But this was a classic case of supply and demand. He's always had the best team-ups that people wanted to play, but that caused him to always be banned. Now that he's almost free from those team-ups, he's at an all-time low price, and it may be time to buy in. Especially now that you can get consistent reps in rank. Our other Dive Tanks have been under the radar for quite a bit now. And if you bought into Venom right after he lost his team-up with Spidey, you may have gotten away like a bandit, as his price has grown tenfold since then. That's enough about our tanks. Let's move on to the strategists. I chose to break this up simply into main healers and hybrid healers. The main healers should be pretty obvious. Cloak, being our most played strategist every season, has taken one slap on the wrist after another, but it hasn't really affected her stock at all. While Luna has had it way too good for way too long, and with her ult finally nerfed, her stock is right where it belongs. Now, once again, I have to give my condolences to all the Loki mains out there. After being on top of the world with Luna, all the nerfs aimed his way were made to kill, and they did just that. However, with Loki having the absolute lowest stock price in the market right now, at $1.74, I think this is a penny stock that you really should look into. He has an ultimate level ability on cooldown, and a versatile game-changing ultimate. If you pick him up now, you'll be way ahead of the curve when he inevitably gets a buff that brings him right back into the meta. As for hybrid healers, if you watch my Marvel Rivals Ignite breakdown, you know that these tertiary supports are the axis that the pro play revolves around. However, the majority of the player base hasn't caught on to this trend, and thus their stock prices doesn't reflect the critical role that they're playing. With that said, these healers, Jeff, Mantis, Ultron, and Atom, may be on the nerf block sooner rather than later, and may not be the best investments. Finally, the largest group, DPS. Even after subdividing the DPS, there's still way too many characters to make a clean graphic. However, one thing I noticed was the sheer amount of poke DPS in the game. Without going too far into the rabbit hole, this may explain at least a portion of why Daredevil felt so refreshing to play even as a new DPS. All I'm saying is that even if they add another DPS to the game, I really hope it's not another poke DPS, at least for a little while. Now, back to the stocks. I'll be highlighting only a few DPS trends that I found interesting. But once again, all the stock prices will be in the description below. Starting with Blade. Obviously, he had a huge spike when he was first released, and has slowly been coming down from that inflated state. However, with the nice buffs that he's received in the past few seasons, and the standout performance he's had in Marvel Zombies, he could be seeing a lot more play and have a small increase in his total value. Next up, we're looking at Hela. At the game's release, Hela was a server admin, with the price tag of over $81. But this has plummeted to almost a tenth of that value, especially after Phoenix's release in Season 3. But because Phoenix got Giga nerfed in Season 4.5, along with Hela receiving a slight buff, along with that broken Namor team-up, her stock price is shooting through the roof once again. She's being banned almost every game, and is probably not worth picking up right now. Next up, the character with the most volatility in their stock, Black Panther. Because of his character design, most players will often ban this character until bigger threats come into the meta. Likewise, NetEase will buff and nerf this character based on performance and community feedback. Thus, his stock price is artificially inflated or deflated periodically. BP is currently on a downward trajectory, so it's probably not the best time to buy in. And last, but definitely not least, one of the most upsetting graphs in my opinion, Bucky. Let's be honest, Bucky is one of NetEase's golden children. He's been in the meta for as long as I can remember. Even the one season that he received huge nerfs to his hook and ultimate, as well as lost his broken team up with Rocket, he still saw a ton of play. And ever since that low point in Season 2, Bucky has received buff after buff, without any actual necessity, to the point that he's almost recouped all of his lost value. It might be time for NetEase to balance out his value before the community demands they completely crash it altogether. I say, let's accelerate this process and normalize banning Bucky. With all that said, thank you so much for watching. This has been Judgment Monk with the Marvel Rivals Stock Market. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, as more Rivals content is sure to come.